Adelaide prepares for the ultimate test, returning to face Hawthorn on a Friday night at the MCG. Sam Jacobs joins us live. And Alistair Clarkson declares his commitment to the Hawks, whether the contract is signed or not. I'm Gerard Waitling, here's Mark Robinson. This Thursday night, it's footy from all angles. Hello, Robbo.
Hello, Gerard.
I always think the moment where you realise how good the round is when you come to do your footy tips, and you sort of have to go just one at a time. I had to walk away 3 times this morning when I was trying to figure out who to pick.
Let's be honest, you're tipping in the Herald Sun.
I'm on the bottom rung.
Yeah, you need some help. People ask me no longer, what's Gerard like? They ask me, does he know football?
not by judging my tips.
I was on the bottom a couple of weeks ago, so I've been lucky. This is, I think, potentially the best round thus far.
The combination of games that have been thrown together.
Yeah. I was looking at it and going, bang, geez, this is hard. They're all hard. Anyway, good day?
Yeah, just a standard Thursday, getting everything ready for the weekend.
Like what?
Interviews and watching games and doing prep and all that sort of stuff.
I played golf today.
Right.
It's my day off Thursdays, as you know, so I managed to...
Did you hit them well?
Well enough to get me back next week.
Yeah, that's
bad enough to nearly walk off the course a couple of times. So the usual.
A bit of give and take. We have with us tonight members of the Australian Defence Forces. We've become accustomed on this weekend throughout recent years to the representative games that take place. So the best footballers from Army, Navy and Air Force come together.
We used to have those blow-up dolls there, didn't we? What are they called? Yeah. They don't look much different, do they? Well, you're not moving. You're not moving, right? You're just sitting there like that.
I'm honestly not sure. No, Rob, I'm honestly not sure these are the people to pick a fight with. Just for what it's worth.
As if they're going to get up and fight us.
Navy, Air Force.
They're not going to fight us.
So the men's game is the curtain raiser at the Adelaide Oval on Saturday, and the women's game, the Anzac Cup, is being played at Port Melbourne on Sunday afternoon. And for representing these two teams, Daniel Russell is with us. Daniel's from Army. Welcome.
Hey, how you going?
And Rhiannon Metcalf from Navy. Rhiannon, hello to you.
Hello.
I always thought the women couldn't have long hair. I'm behind times, aren't I?
No, we definitely can.
Yeah, I can tell.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Tight it all.
What do you tie it up when you play footy? How, really tight or?
Yeah. It still comes out, but...
Does it?
Yeah.
Who are we talking to first?
Oh, whoever you like, Robert. You're in the...
This women's team, the Victorian women's rep team, is that made up from the Darebin girls, the main football women's football league here in Victoria? Do you know?
I honestly don't know where they get their players from.
And how do you select your players?
Well, we have a camp for 2 weeks, like a national camp for Army, Navy, Air Force.
A national football camp?
Yeah.
For 2 weeks?
Yep.
How good's that?
Yeah, it's awesome.
2 weeks off work to go and prepare for footy?
Yep. So, and from
Not defending our country. You're going off to train for 2 weeks?
Yep.
Great.
And from that game we have selections, and they'll pick the ADF team from that.
Good on you.
Daniel, you're looking forward to playing at the Adelaide Oval again?
Yeah, absolutely, Jared. We did it last year. It's a different atmosphere out there, like playing country footy and then going out there where it's, well, I think we had 20,000 people playing into the game, so it's electric. The
emergency services are your opponents. You're with Army. Who's the strongest arm at the moment in the Defence Forces? Army, Navy or Air Force in the men's?
Army, we won it this year, but Navy did win it last year, but Army has won it more times. So
a lot of one-upmanship between the Army, the Navy and the other group.
Air Force.
The Air Force. I just forgot for a second. Who are you closer with? Who are you closer to?
I'd rather not say than Robbo.
Don't you? Is it hard to bring everyone together, or it's pretty cool? It's pretty cool.
I know it depends, because we play 2 games, so we play against RAF or Navy, and it's hard because we go out there and try and beat each other up playing footy and then come together for this week.
Does that happen? Is it pretty physical? Pretty staunch though when you're picking those early teams?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty intense. So
you go all right, Daniel, don't you? Did you have a mind when you were growing up to try to have a crack at the AFL?
No, I never really did, because I grew up playing rugby league and swapped over to play Aussie rules when I was a bit older. So didn't really look at it like that.
All right.
But
enjoy your games. The very best of luck. Great to have you with us tonight.
Thanks, Jared.
Good on you, Rhiannon, as well. All right, let's get into it. What are you looking forward to?
Demons Tigers on Friday night. Sure? It was a bit further down the rundown. I was looking down. Demons Tigers. Yep. I could have easily picked 6 games, Jared. But I think this was terrific. When I saw Barras up there, it's not emotional, but when I saw Barras up there, I reckon it had a great effect on all of us. And this will be terrific Sunday night. And there's Ronald there, and everyone knows the Ronald Dale story. And no one thought you could get bigger than Anzac Day. I'm not saying this is, but I think it's a really, really good addition to the calendar. From a purely football sense, Jared, we've got a team called Melbourne lifting and producing, and that's exciting. We've got a team called Richmond who are failing and not producing. So the challenge for both of them is in different directions, and I hope Sunday night we just see the best of both teams, and I really can't wait. I think it's going to be real special. It's
a pretty tidy Sunday. I'm taking my cue from Saturday. Is the corresponding game between Port Adelaide and Geelong 2 years ago, 2014. That was the one that I went to, and it was the night that Port Adelaide opened up all the possibilities. They went top of the ladder. It was round 6. They were 5-1 at the end after they whacked Geelong by 40 points. They were on their way to 10-1. And then half a kick away from a grand final at the end of the year. And all the possibilities entailed in what they'd built for 2 years under Ken Hinkley were on display there. And I remember that the day after when we were talking about it, everybody accepted that Port Adelaide, you don't choose your time is thrust upon you, and their time might have been then. And you contrast that to how they'll take the field on Saturday night and all the questions that swirl around them, and that their time might have burst up and frittered away in 2014 and can't be harnessed again, and they go back into that game, and if they've got anything to give, it better be on Saturday.
You're not giving up on them, are you?
No, I won't give up on them. If they turn it up on Saturday night, I will.
I've given up on them.
And this is what Saturday looks like, which is pretty handy in itself.
I think I'm talking about this later in the show. I mean, Super Saturday's always linked to racing, isn't it? If it's raining on Saturday, camp yourself on the couch or sit upright in your favourite chair and watch football or go to the football instead. It's going to be a wonderful day.
All right, we're going to start the agenda taking the cue from your most looking forward to, and the Richmond selections, which carry such weight. It's the game that the Tigers are now fitting up for the return of Ivan Maric, who will certainly play, and Brett Delidio, who has been named to begin his campaign and really to provide some momentum to the failing Tigers.
Every coach is under pressure. It's a performance-based industry.
Oh, this is as bad as it gets for Richmond. This is as poor a performance as you'll ever see.
The process was there. We've just got to continue working on that, and the outcome will come. At some stage, it will I'm sure, flick over from my point of view. So, look, the record is there in itself. It speaks for itself, and we're measured on wins-loss. So we've got to make sure we start ticking over the wins column. There's no doubt about that.
They've been lost down back. They really have no answers. They're not sure what the plan is. If there is one, it's been horrendous.
Look, we're not playing well enough. We acknowledge that. We acknowledge as a playing group, as a coaching group. So we've just got to make sure we put our best foot forward and get the result we're after this week. We're incredibly confident that this group has got the drive and the belief to do that. We haven't shown it thus far, so the proof will be in the pudding this week.
The proof will be in the pudding. So the teams arrived and Delidio and Maric are in, and Morris, Miles and Batchelor went into the extended squad. Maric is a definite, and Delidio depending on who you're listening to, but they've left the options open for now.
He can't play. This is a miracle. Damien Hardwick said he's touched a normal-sized ball for the first time earlier this week. It's unfair on Delidio. I mean, the club's desperate, we know that. But to throw a guy in who hasn't trained properly for 5 weeks, I'd be very surprised if he played. I'm still really concerned about Richmond. I mean, everyone says, Maric is back. I thought Maric was lucky to go on this year. I actually thought he was struggling last year.
Okay.
And everyone goes, bring him back. But if you look at Richmond's in, have a look at them. Maric, spiritual, run at you kind of ruckman. Let me go through them, Jared. Right, Steve Morris, hard, struggled, had to go out of the team, wanted to get in the ball. Miles, really good. I think top 3, top 4 best and first last year, had really 2 poor years, but he's crucial to get some toughness back into that. And Jack Batchelor's a pretty good player as well across half-back flank. So there's a certain mentality of how Richmond's going into the team into this game on the weekend.
They got their gamble wrong with Delidio at the start of last year, so you
play or not,
you wouldn't want to be punting, I don't think. Well, it's straight on the. No, I'd be keeping the powder dry for one more week with him, but then I'm not in the inner sanctum. But
you're not desperate.
If he's not right, just wait. You blow your season up if you play. I mean, he gets injured. You blow it up, and it's not necessary in round 5.
You think
it's just not necessary. Travis Cloke is named in the Collingwood side, not on the extended squad, in the actual team. So the cue there is that he will play. Mason Cox is in that team as well, so he does make his debut. And the only out for the moment is Jesse White, who is the late in, loses his place. So the conjecture all week has been how would Buckley handle Cloke, and he's going to play him on Anzac Day.
Unless he's playing funny buggers, they brought someone in. I think there was a
Jesse White was the
not on the emergencies.
They got fined for playing Jesse White.
Yeah, they did. So Frost has come back for White. Cox has come in. They can't ruck Cox, so he's playing forward. So Grundy keeps his spot. I still wouldn't be surprised if Cloke goes out of the team.
Yep.
If he dropped him now... if he dropped him tonight, if Collingwood dropped Cloke tonight, there would have been like a pretty energetic next 24 hours.
Yep.
Talking about Cloke's future. Does the club want that? No. So that's if he drops him on Sunday. So they're doing the right thing. You're out before the game. The other version is, which we spoke about earlier in the week, Jared, is you sit down and say, right, Trav, times come during people's careers when we really need you and you really need yourself. And now Buckley might have had that conversation and it may have been satisfied with what he was getting back. The honesty we saw Travis Cloke being interviewed and he put it on himself. Sometimes that can convince a coach that we're going to go with you another time.
So the dynamic is interesting. If he does play, see how he goes, and we'll have Nathan Buckley here on Monday night to ask these questions. We'll know if the proof is in the pudding, we'll know by then. The other key outs here, so the Bulldogs lose a couple, Johannesson for the long term with a hamstring and Boyd with a shoulder. That's amongst 4 changes for the Dogs. Pollock and Archie are the 2 who have paid the price in Ken Hinckley's selection, the 2 omissions. Mays is out for the Lions. That means Stephen Martin is in, so he's in the selected side as it's come in tonight. Nichols, May and Prestia are all out for various reasons at the Suns. Lysette has been suspended and Hutchings dropped by the Eagles. Miller has got a quad injury, so a most promising start. He makes way for the time being for the Crows. Henderson and Murdoch. Henderson's been managed. Murdoch, I think Murdoch might have been omitted for the Cats. Tomlinson's been dropped for the Giants. Matt Jones for the Demons, and Laverde with that shoulder injury.
If you had fuzzy eyes, that M looks like an N, and you think, God, N Jones is there.
Yeah, you don't want that.
You don't want that at all.
Drew Petrie had the scare at training today.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, the knee issue where he came over and he was clearly inhibited by it for a period of time. He went back and completed training, and the mail out of North Melbourne was that he was just about the last to leave the track.
Yeah, he was.
Goal kicking practice. So a scare as they headed for the Gold Coast. You don't want him to be without Petrie, but the sense is that he's fine.
Well, they don't want to be without Petrie, but Petrie playing really puts heavy pressure on the Gold Coast key defence. They've got no Rory Thompson and they've got no Stephen May. The Kangaroos are going to go in with Petrie, Brown, and the most informal, second informed key forward in the competition, Jared Wade, who's behind Tommy Lynch. So North Melbourne are going to go boom, 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 and the Suns haven't got their number 1 and number 2, Keith Backman. You know, if it's dry up there, that could be significant for the Kangaroos.
On the inside of the equation, Gibson and Hill back for the Hawks, so Hill's going to play his first game of the season. Enright's had his break for the Cats. Crowley and Dempsey are in the extended squad for the Bombers. Vince returns from suspension. Now, Petrarca and Garlett are linked. If Garlett gets up from his ankle injury, Petrarca doesn't make his debut. If Garlett gets ruled out, Petrarca comes in for his first game for Melbourne. So that's
got
the
some
equation.
Good information there,
Stuart. Cameron plays for the Giants, so straight in, as was anticipated after his 4-week suspension. Mackenzie for the Suns. Wooders in for the Bulldogs with Dixon, who'll play his first game of the season. Rockcliffe for the Lions. Prittis, Wellingham for the Eagles. And Charlie Cameron replaces Wayne Miller for the Crows. So Jeremy Cameron straight back in. They have done so much without their two leading goal kickers of last year, McCarthy, who's not at the club for the year, and Cameron, who's been sitting on the sidelines.
Well, Lob's been really, really good. You know, Johnny Patton played. I thought he's one of his best games for the club last week, leading up the ground. It was the best I've seen him move for ages, bearing in mind he's had the two knee reconstructions. What everyone will be looking at is the machinations between those three in the one forward line, because they're not like lead-up tools. Like Patton moved pretty good last week, and he might be the one that maybe pushes up the ground, but they're really big guys who hang deep. And it'll be interesting to see how they go, because the machinations from that is if they don't go with three, one of them has to go back to the VFL. I don't think it's going to be Lob. Nope. So if Patton goes back, which then everyone else in the competition goes, well, Johnny Patton can't get in there. Johnny, would you like to come and play senior football at our football club? And I know for one that the Essendon Football Club would be pretty keen to get Johnny Patton to... I was going to say Windy Hill, but they're not there anymore.
They're not there anymore. The Saints are a bit undersized in defence too, so that will stretch them.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, they play small. All right,
that's going to be a massive game.
Yeah, it's another beauty.
Yeah, it is.
Let's take a view towards Friday night. They met in a semi-final, but circumstances have changed a bit since then. I'm not sure that anyone's hotter than Adelaide, and they come up against the champs who have had their struggles in victories in recent weeks.
The pros get it done. They pull it out. They hold the Saints at bay.
And the Crows get it done. What a win. What a game of football.
They've been really impressive. For Adelaide to knock off Sydney last week tells us that they're in pretty good form and playing a good brand of footy.
You know, they do a lot right, so they're not going to change an awful lot. The challenge is to be able to counteract that and play, as I said, the way we want to play.
We haven't been great with our form this year, but we have been able to defend those sorts of plays quite effectively. So hopefully we'll be able to do that again on Friday night. If we can't, we're in a bit of strife. But if we can, we give ourselves a really good chance of being able to win the game.
I'm not sitting here saying that we've mastered any areas of our game. We've still got a lot of room for improvement, and that's what we're striving for. All we are is accountable for and responsible for how we play, and that's the same on Friday night.
That's how it's set up for tomorrow night. He is one of our favourites. They're in town, so we asked him to come in. Sam Jacobs, welcome again to AFL 360.
Thanks for having me, boys. Good to be here.
Last time he was on, we commented about your grey-looking house, and I asked you, were you painting it? Or
you forced me to build a new one.
Is it? Did many people comment on the colour of your
house?
I
had a lot of friends that mentioned that I needed to do a paint job, so I thought I'd start again.
Did they agree, Sam?
Yeah, I agreed with you.
It's good to see you, pal.
Sam, it feels like it's the perfect challenge at the perfect time, just to get a gauge internally and externally, because this looks incredibly promising. Does it feel a bit that way?
Yeah, it has. It's been obviously an exciting start to the year. Much was made of our draw early on, but we view it as a challenge. So. It's great to get the good teams early on and really test, where we're at as a team.
Is there any relevance from semi-final night, which in football terms is not that long ago?
I don't think so. I think, we've got a lot of new faces in now. We've got a new coach as well. Systems have changed a little bit, so no, I don't think so.
How much has the system changed? Because, you're playing pretty good football under Phil. Phil passed, played really good football under Camperreale. Won a final, got to a second, got smashed up by Hawthorn. So a lot of right was being done last year. What's capped it off this year?
Yeah, I think offence has obviously been one of our really strong suits, and it's sort of continued on this year. And but the thing Pikey's brought in is probably a little changes in our defence. He's come from the Eagles, who were really sound defensively last year. So I assume he's brought a little bit from the Eagles.
Defending space.
Yeah, things like that.
Hasn't really worked against Hawthorn the last couple of times they've met.
No, it hasn't, has it? But no, that's probably where our main improvement's going to come from, is our defence.
There's a feeling, it's a feeling, and tell me, you'll say it's not right, but there's a feeling that the Hawks don't mind playing you guys because they can beat up on you. They don't think you're physically or mentally ready for them.
Yeah, I guess.
What do you say about that?
I guess recent history probably suggests that. I think they beat us pretty convincingly in the final and in Adelaide last year, and I think the last time we beat them was in 2011. So. We haven't really got close to them, but it's a new year and a new team, and we're excited for the challenge.
Your resolve has been really good. I've got to be honest with you. I I didn't say bad things about you. I did say that your performance in the last quarter of the round 1 game against Goldstein, when Goldstein took a couple of critical marks, and it was a high-pressure game, and I said, was his fitness a problem? Because Goldstein was able to get away. When you have a game like that and your opponent has such an influence in a short time, does it eat away at you for a couple of days? Do you think, God, that was my fault? Do you say, right, I've got to change, I've got to get better, I've got to improve, I've got to fight back? What's the mentality when that happens?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I think you definitely want to fight back. Me and Goldie came through the same draft together. I trained at the Kangaroos for a couple of weeks in the lead-up, so I've got a bit of a relationship with Toddy, and he got me in the last quarter. He's obviously a quality player, and unfortunately I wasn't able to keep him quiet the whole game. So, I definitely learned a bit. I reviewed it pretty heavily just to see what he does, because he's contested marking.
What did he do? What did he do right? I don't know about him.
Yeah.
What did you do wrong?
I think I allowed him to jump at the ball too easily. He's a really big man, and you've seen this year, probably flowing from that game, he's been able to take some really strong marks and also hit the scoreboard. So, he's obviously the standard at the moment, and I think the rest of us are probably chasing him. Right,
so when you see what Goldstein did to you, you review the tapes and you think it's probably more me than him. Do you take that into, say, last week's game? You're up against, Tippett and, was it Nankervis?
Yeah.
So do you take that into that game, or do you think, no, it's different courses for different horses?
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. I think there's probably some things I could have improved on, but Toddy, went to another level as well. So I'll take nothing away from him, but there's a few ruck. I mean, you look at their games and have a close look to see what you can implement. So there is definitely some things I changed. Tippett's obviously a really great contested mark, so he wasn't able to take any contested marks on me. So I guess it's a step in the right direction.
Bloody oath it is.
Yeah. You don't get to play often at the MCG. I was just going through you've played 131 games, knowing that you started at Carlton, but you've only played 16 times at the MCG. When you do get do you cherish coming and being able to play there? Yeah,
I do for sure. Living over here for 4 years and playing at a big club like Carlton, you sort of, I was in the stands a lot, so you really get excited when you go there. And coming from interstate now, we don't get many chances, so none come bigger than Hawthorn on a Friday night. So I'm really excited by it. We obviously get great support in Adelaide with Adelaide Oval, so it'll be a really great night.
So you've got this one, and then you've got back-to-back games round 15 and 16 at the G. Is it important to test yourselves not only against the opponent but at the ground?
I guess in terms of cliches, you probably say no, but it is great to get there and I guess have a bit of success and play well at the G, which we were able to do last year. So for me personally, I think we can take confidence from that we're able to perform against the Bulldogs. Not so much against the Hawks, but it's another great chance to see if we can do it again this year with this squad.
Every time a player talks after a game, they talk about roles in the team and all that sort of stuff. When you're building up against Hawthorn, do you actually build yourself up and say, I really need to play well? I know the team needs to play well, but do you have that self, these are the games I want to dominate in? Do you build yourself up like that, or is it team?
Personally, I think it is about team. I think one thing you'll see with us throughout this year, and it's something Pikey's really brought in, is that really even spread. I don't think we've had any players that have really sort of come in and dominated, but we've had players each week stand up and perform well. So I think we've got a really even spread at the moment. I think it's working for us as a playing group, and I know that's what my focus would be, is just going in there and playing my role and giving our midfielders first use.
Is that why you haven't missed Dangerfield?
Well, I think so. I think it's been great. Yeah, we've got some fresh faces in. You've seen Wayne Miller come in. Matty Crouch is getting extended time in the midfield.
Seedsman,
Jared Lyons, Seedsman, all these blokes. And we've got Brodie Smith back, who's had a tough year last year, and he's playing some really good footy. Rory Laird's gone to another level. So you can probably throw a blanket over 10 to 12 guys who have taken their game to another level.
And so Jarman said it right. He was the first person in Australia to say, and he can be a lunatic.
Yeah, I'm good mates with Jars.
Yeah, but he can be. But he's got a good footy brain.
Yeah.
Now, he said, this team's better without Dangerfield. The knee-jerk reaction is say, that's crap.
Yeah.
How can a team be better without Dangerfield? But what we've seen in the past with Franklin, with Ablett, that when the best player leaves, clearly that team doesn't crumble. Clearly, because two teams have won premiership straight after their best players. What changes? What machinations change that the best player can leave, but then the team can play their best level football they have for 4 years.
Yeah, I think footy's a funny game. You see, it happens at the Bulldogs as well. They lost Ryan Griffin and all that, but they've gone to another level. So I think what it does, it creates opportunity, and we've got I guess almost an underrated defence who are a really tight unit. They've got a lot of trust back there.
They're young, aren't they?
They are, and
except for
Taylor, but even he's only 25.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's only
a
young.
gun, isn't he?
So us midfield, we played a lot of time together, and our forward line obviously gets a lot of media and spoken lots about.
They big heads?
Nah, not at all.
They get a lot, don't they?
They do.
It's like the Crows are just the forward six to no one else.
I'm happy for them to get the kudos, and we'll just go about it through the midfield.
Good on you, Sam. Thanks for coming in on a rainy night in Melbourne, and the very best of luck tomorrow night for the rest of the season.
Thanks for having me, guys. Cheers.
No worries,
Sam Jacobs with us on AFL 360. Before we finish up here, Alistair Clarkson today, when asked about the status of his contract and where his future lay, he was unequivocal.
I can't even remember if I signed the last contract. What I have done is made a commitment to the club, and I don't back away from commitment. So I'm going to be a Hawker. As much as I'm flattered that Caro and others are interested in what's going on with my contract, I made a commitment to the club 6 weeks ago, and I'm going nowhere. So we'll get to that if we even need to. I'm not even worried about it. Neither of the club. I made a commitment 6 weeks ago, and for all those out there that think I might be going somewhere, couldn't be further from the truth.
Didn't even sign his last contract. Couldn't remember whether he'd signed it.
Good relationship, isn't it?
So that's all settled.
I didn't think it was unsettled.
No.
The morning. Everyone, I presumed everyone thought he was there.
Made the commitment 6 weeks ago, but all's good.
Next.
Brian Lake and Dyson Heppel are in next as we have a look towards this terrific set of matches in round 5.
Wait a minute, it's all wrong. Wait a minute, it's all gone
wrong. Australia is a wonderful island with a treasure trove of unique plants, animals,
and Bob Murphy.
It has to be protected.
I'm not going to shoot Bambi here or anything like that, but for me, I think it's probably better for, I would say, better for the team for him to probably to retire.
And Australians are just as unique, both warm and direct. When you disrespect
Bob Murphy,
they will tell you firmly.
He is 33. He's going to be old.
Just let me hold Jared back here.
Everyone's entitled to a voice and opinion.
Protecting Bob Murphy is important.
Brian Lake, public enemy number 1. Brian, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me back.
Just how was the feedback?
Yeah, no, there's plenty of feedback during the week. Not much positive, but you take that on the chin. You have an opinion. Some people took it, actually come back at me and made it a little bit personal, calling me a peanut. But that's I'm more of a beer nut man, to be honest with you. But that's their choice to go down that path. I had an opinion, and when it's your old side, obviously people probably pay a little bit more attention to it.
Did you speak to Bob? Did Bob speak to you?
No, I haven't spoken to Bobby. But I think he went in for surgery today on his knees, so hopefully that all has gone well for him.
Dyson Heppel, welcome.
Good on you, Jared. Thank you.
Teammate, another of your teammates who's sitting out for the time being re-signed yesterday, Travis Collier. We had the coach in last night talking about that. Have you had any contact with Travis?
It's fantastic for Trav. Great for him individually, and I guess that'll help him get through the next 6 to 8 months. He's having something to build towards. So, I speak to Trav regularly with our training and whatnot. So, it's great for him.
Where does it leave you just at the moment? Obviously, after we finished on...
Xavier Campbell gave me the contract.
Oh, right, just sign.
Heppel's contract.
Oh, is that right?
Can you sign here, please, Dyson?
Right,
there's your contract. I got you an extra 150.
I told you I'll let you know when I'm ready to sign, mate.
I got you 900 over 5.
Did you?
Sign, Chief.
Oh, dear. No, very good.
Where's the rest of it? Yeah, I deserve.
Is this nearly the hardest week to miss? You know how good Anzac Day is with Essendon's involvement?
Yeah, look, it definitely is a tough one to miss. The big occasions, the big games, and certainly Anzac Days, the ones that you really crave. The atmosphere is something very unique, something surreal. And you hear of players that have played in grand finals who are part of this game, and they say it matches or betters the atmosphere of a grand final. So it's something very unique, and especially standing there when the last post is being played and 90,000 people that are dead silent. You can hear a baby cry on the top tier. You get real goosebumps, and that's an amazing day to be a part of.
Are you going to go?
Yeah, I'll go to the game. Yeah, keen to go.
You haven't missed a game yet, have you?
I don't think so.
And you're speaking at Essendon functions, aren't you?
No, I'm not speaking at Essendon functions.
You're not allowed to do that?
I'm not allowed to do that, mate.
No, he's not speaking at Essendon functions, but you're certainly going to all the games.
He'll be sitting up in a corporate
box. So that means you're saying... Well, tell me, when you look at a game like this, is it hard not to look at how Essendon can beat Collingwood from your perspective, or do you look at both teams and say, right, Collingwood could get Essendon here, or do you look at Essendon and say, right, how can we beat Collingwood?
Well, yeah, for me, that's probably more the way I see it. Watching over the past few weeks, I feel they've got a real knack for our defensive structures now, bringing those players in. John Worsfold and the coaching group have done a fantastic job in upskilling them on our game style. So what I saw last week against quite a quality outfit in Geelong was our ability to pressure them and create quality turnovers. It's probably more our attack that needs a bit of work.
Spit Joey or bust at the moment, isn't it? If he doesn't catch him,
yeah,
he's such a match winner.
He's quite a big avenue to goal for us. So as I said, it probably is our attack that needs a bit of a touch up, and I think we'll be right.
But that's what's going to happen when you bring in so many guys from different clubs at a short period of time. That offence takes years to understand on where the guys are going to lead and get that synergy, but. The thing you don't need skill and ability with is that those things there where you're talking about defensive actions, about your intent and pressure on the opposition. And that's what a lot of some sides at the moment are probably doing too much of worrying about the offensive side of their game and doing this. They've just got to go back to basics, what the Essendon young guys are doing well at the moment.
So if we take it at face value that Travis Cloke is playing, in your mind, is that the right call?
Yeah.
Come on, don't sit in the fence, right?
No, geez, I don't sit on the fence.
I know that.
No, it's hard for him because he's just not getting the ball supply and he's not getting the ball kicked to him. Let's be honest, that their defence has been woeful. Their kicking ability as a defence has been terrible. So the ball coming into him, when it is coming into him, is not a good quality ball. So he's the type of guy, when I've had to stand on him, he's always been that guy that's down the line, 45 metres away from the ball all the time in those contests where... A lot of the time now, he's just been that, decoy a little bit, taking the best defender out, giving the opportunities to some other forwards. But if you're not going to kick the ball to him, why play him?
Is football changed, guys? Is it changed that you're right? He competes. He was a competitor. Yeah. Like he would present and mark. And
that's what I was
20 times.
You playing on him. What do you see differently now? Like what were his strengths when he was firing?
Well, the ball was funneled through him. Yeah. Every single time the ball's going to him. So it is predictable for a defence to work off that, but that's where he's most dangerous. And even last year, he had the most winning percentage of one-on-ones of any key forward was Travis Cloke because the ball kicks kicked on.
This is not by chance.
No,
the footy doesn't happen like this.
No, they've done it deliberately to give Darcy Moore and these other guys opportunities to, as they're saying, have a look at the ice cream, but. For Travis,
too far?
Ridiculous. And he's not a type like a Jack Gunson to work up the ground as a half forward and then use work rate to get back because they're not skillful enough to be able to hit him on the way back. So for him, I'll be plonking him 35, 40 away from the ball down the line all the time just to give him the opportunity. The smalls can work off him in those situations. Yes, keep a Darcy Moore deep, but have Cloke 25, 35 out from goal. Yeah.
Let's work through some of these games. David King's got Hawthorn on the watch list and he's worked on his thesis and we'll see what that looks like in tomorrow's Herald Sun.
Can't wait for that.
What's your read on your old club right now?
Yeah, Hawthorn's never started the season off well. They were 4-4 last year and staring down the barrel of probably finishing outside that top four, and you can't win a premiership outside the top four these days. So, no, would they like to be playing better football? Yes, but I'm a little bit worried about, I guess, their offensive side as well. That Hawthorn have always been renowned for kicking high scores. They haven't kicked over 100 points yet this season. Coming up against an Adelaide that's done it three out of the 4 games so far this year. So they're very reliant on their defensive structures at the moment. Being the number one tackle side in the competition hasn't happened with Hawthorn for a very long time. So that's the thing that's really holding them together at the moment, especially with Ruffy not playing.
What's their motivation levels like at the moment? I mean, bearing in mind they know when we say play deep September, Dice, they know what that means. So it starts actually cranking up at different times. Motivated Saturday afternoon in the middle of April?
Yeah, it'd be tough for some of the guys, I would say, but...
Were you like charging at the bit?
Oh, I'm probably a little bit different than these other guys, but they're animals. The leadership group at Hawthorn are just maniacs of... And that's, I guess, what the coaching staff do there as well, really well, is you just keep learning. So that as soon as you do a training session, you're back in reviewing what you've done. So you're just constantly learning. So you're not getting bored with training. Everything's still changing, and that's what Clarko is really renowned for. And that's, I guess, the thing with bringing in young kids as well. You get that enthusiasm through young kids playing first games, second games, and coming into the team. So that's where they get that spark from as well.
A lot of these games too, they've actually been heavily reliant on Sam Mitchell, and I don't think that's really sustainable for them either. So I think their experience has got them over the line in a few close games, but they've got a bit of work to do.
When we talk motivation, what's Port Adelaide's motivation like, do you think, on Saturday night, during the week they've had internally and externally?
Oh, look, it's it's a tough situation for Port. It's season defining really this weekend, and look, it's I guess you can see it two ways. You can see it as a really exciting challenge, or something to, I guess, be scared of and take a step back from. But look, they are struggling as a side, but they need to attack this game head on and try and produce something.
You've been in a position, Dice, where they will be pent up. They'll get out and they will challenge and they'll throw everything they got. That's not the challenge. The challenge is when that starts failing, is rising again within the game. Because what happens when you're lacking confidence? It's too easy to let it all fall apart. There are challenges in with games, and you've had that challenge before, where when you look around and it's slipping away, they're kicking goal after goal after goal. You think, right,
easy goals too, out the back.
When you're like that, how difficult is it to change that momentum?
You're spot on. It is very tough. It is very tough, and that's what the best sides can do. They're able to stem the momentum of a game throughout certain situations, and the best players can sense where it's coming from and read it on the ground. The leaders
have to do it.
They do. So, you look at Travis Boak, he's probably getting a fair bit of flack at the moment for his form, because he's an absolute star of the comp and he's probably not playing to his elite standards. But it's rare that someone has a form slump, or that someone doesn't have a form slump. So I think he'll bounce back and gather that leadership group together.
He has to. It's not. We're hoping he has to. Because that club is in trouble if the likes of Travis and even Dixon's only been there. But show your age. And Westhoff was okay last week, and Robbie Gray's been pretty solid. Polak's just been dumped. There was the message. You're looking at messages from Collingwood. That's a big message from Ken Hinkley.
Yeah, for sure.
There's just a lot of areas that they're playing really poor at, and the demoralising thing is when you're a defender and you're getting the easy goals, if the mids aren't putting pressure on, the forwards aren't squeezing up enough and compressing the middle of the ground, then all of a sudden they're getting easy goals over the back. The defenders are starting to look at the mids like, well, what's going on here? The mids are then looking at the forwards, and all of a sudden then you get a cohesion of guys just whinging.
So when that happens, what happens when everyone's whinging?
Well, that's when it does unravel. When you do start whinging, you don't start talking constructively as a group. But that's exactly what I am seeing with Port Adelaide, is their real slingshot style of attack. So when they get their ball in defensive 50, all of them are going gung-ho down the field. If there's a turnover created at the other end of the ground, they're all out of play to protect that one over the back, so they're getting scored against quite heavily.
The defenders and mids haven't got time to then squeeze up the ground, so there's just spaces of gaps really in the middle of the ground where they can pinpoint. Defenders are still trying to squeeze up the ground.
You're whinging and crying.
There's nothing worse than you've got the ball out, you think, I'll just squeeze the ground up a little bit here, hopefully holding our forward line. Whooshka, easy goal over your back, and the forwards kick the goal.
True. Then there's the Sydney Swans and West Coast at the SCG on Saturday afternoon, which is a tell because these look like top 4 teams.
Yeah, another cracking game, isn't it? And West Coast used to obviously playing on a bigger ground, now going to Sydney SCG, a little bit tighter, but Sydney, I think, they've been lucky. They've got Collingwood, Carlton, GWS after they beat Geelong, and Adelaide they lost to. So has their draw been a little bit easier? They're averaging 67 inside 50, so they're getting the ball in there. And when you're a forward,
struggling for goal kickers, mate.
It's amazing, but they're still getting so many opportunities.
Yeah.
But there's no one's standing up, and I think they're wasting a little bit. But you wouldn't see West Coast allowing that to happen this week. 67 inside 50s.
Does the web work on the SCG as it does it work on Subiaco Dice? Can't, can it?
Well, look, I think it's far more effective at Subiaco, but look, I still think they can play that style of footy, and it can definitely work. But I think the thing with these two sides is they both have outstanding balance of inside and outside midfielders. But I think where West Coast probably get that little edge is their superior outside run, and they have the ability of their inside players to get it to those outside players to take the ball forward to the likes of Kennedy and Darling.
Be good watching a player called Lewis Jetta this week as well against his
he's at another
old team as well. So he'll know the SCG. There's not too much space for him to run around in. So
I reckon he'll be looking for it at times.
Oh, I think so. I think he'll be. I don't know if he's handballing too much. He'll be just trying to run, kick the ball long, and it'll be good to see if they target him as well, to see if they get into him physically.
All right, enjoy your weekend of footy.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Enjoy watching them on Monday. Dyson Heppel and Brian Lake with us on Thursday nights on AFL 360. Last night we had an icon of the NRL. Tonight we have a legend of the EPL. Ledley King is with us for the weekend forecast.
I go hard in the city of London. I get a lot of love, all smiles when I step in.
The images of the round goal and the Australian Defence Force is with us, and if you know anything about Tottenham Hotspur, you'll know this man. Judged in the best 25 players to have ever played for Spurs. He led them. He played for 321 games. Ledley King, welcome to AFL 360.
Thank you for having me.
You've been at the MCG today, launching the Champions Cup, where there's going to be some of the great teams of the world come and play. What did you make of the G?
Yeah, it was an amazing stadium, iconic stadium, and on behalf of the team, I know that they can't wait to come out and play in July, along with Atletico Madrid, Juventus, and Melbourne Victory. I think it's going to be a huge success.
Have you been here before?
My first time.
What do you think?
I've always wanted to come here.
Yeah. And everyone says that in England, don't they?
Yeah.
Want to come down under?
It's a long way, but I'm glad I made it.
I'm sure you didn't sit in economy flying over, did you, Headley?
No, we didn't. Yeah. No, needed to stretch these long legs out.
It's a bit easier when you can lay down.
Yeah.
You've played at, the Tottenham Ground, but you've played at Wembley. When you're walking around an empty MCG, there's a certain feel. You're going tomorrow night to see a sizable crowd. I reckon you'll enjoy it. Yeah. I reckon you'll enjoy it. What did it feel like, just walking around, looking at it?
Well, it's a stadium that I've seen so often on TV, So
with cricket, with
cricket. So to finally be standing in there was a bit surreal, And I can't wait, as you say, to see it full. So I'll be at the AFL game tomorrow, to watch the Hawks, and hopefully it'll be full when I can really sample the atmosphere.
You played your whole career in the EPL at one club, which makes you a bit of a rarity. What is your connection to Spurs like?
It's very strong. I mean, I started there as a 14-year-old. So I've been there over 20 years, so more than half of my life, really. So I joke that they can't get rid of me that easy. I might have retired, but I'm still here working for the club, and they've been great to me. The fans have been great. I suffered with injuries throughout my career, so the support that I've received throughout has been tremendous.
Were you a North London boy?
East London, actually, but
It's
only 20 minutes away.
Is it? So how do you get selected as a 14-year-old to go into the schoolboys at Spurs?
Well, there was actually me and two other friends that were selected at the same time, so we all kind of went on together. Unfortunately, they didn't make it through, and I stayed on, but I fell in love with the place as soon as I went there.
What do you know about Australian rules?
Funny enough, I watched it a little bit as a youngster. It used to be on
Channel
TV.
4?
Channel 4, yeah.
I know. I used to get up in the morning and watch it myself.
My first memory was how tough the guys were and how big and strong and physical the game was. So, I'm looking forward to seeing it up close and personal.
Just before we get stuck into the forecast, you'll know everywhere around the world people are following the tale of Leicester City and hoping that they can win the championship. Yeah. And yet Tottenham could actually cause a bit of a ruckus late here. Do you think they've got a shot at causing the boil over?
Yeah, they have. I mean, at the moment the gap's 5 points with 4 games left. So, every weekend is a big one at the moment. If we can possibly close the gap to 2 points, then I think Leicester will be under huge pressure. So, fingers crossed after this weekend the gap will be a little bit smaller.
All right. Play along with the forecast. See how you go.
Is AFL 360 on Channel 4 anymore?
Not yet. Not yet.
Will we soon?
Okay.
All right, Lidley, you show us the way. What's your sure thing for the weekend?
My sure thing was the Hawks to win tomorrow.
Yeah. Seeing that you're involved.
The Hawks.
Scarf, everything?
Yeah, I'm going to be there tomorrow. Fully kitted out, hopefully.
Well, do you have a wine or a beer? Or
I'm retired now, so I'm sure I'm sure I'll add one or two.
Well, I'll have fun in Melbourne tomorrow night. The MCG will sparkle for the entire weekend. This is good game after good game after good game after good game. Stephen Goff at the MCG has got that crowd and his team looking great, and we're going to have some really, really big crowds there. This is going to be a really good weekend for the MCG. Looking forward to them all. You?
The Kosh post-game tweet will be essential reading. He always sends it, Koshy, at the end of it.
He does.
It'll be good reading on Saturday night.
Is this your personal one or to everyone?
That's what he sends to the world.
Righto.
Most at stake, Ledley?
Oh, I think this one's probably myself, being with the Hawks chairman, watching the game tomorrow. There's a lot of pressure on me to speak about the game and the sport, so I'm going to have to do my homework tonight, I think. So I think I'm under a bit of pressure.
You are not. You are not. Mine's Port Adelaide, but you just said it all.
Tipped in together.
Yeah, of course there's a lot at stake.
Yeah.
You just listen to Dyson talking about it and Kenny talking about it. It's enormous over there this weekend. Enormous.
You had a doubleheader with your love. I'm having a doubleheader with the most at stake. Eddie Betts against Hawthorn, a team that he's never really performed against, and Lewis Jetto against his old club, which Brian Lake alluded to there. The doomsday scenario, Ledley, what's the worst thing that could happen?
Ooh, as a Tottenham fan, I think it would be for Leicester to extend their lead.
Yes.
I think that would be
Come on, this is
that'd be doomsday for sure.
That's terrible. It's one of the greatest things that could happen, wouldn't it?
It's a great story, but I'm a Spurs fan.
Stuff them.
Robbo.
Groundhog Day again. Oh. Collingwood loses, Bucks here on Monday night.
Yep.
God almighty. We're going okay. We're going okay. We don't both need another defeat. But anyway, Richmond lose and Fremantle lose.
I'm just taking one leg of that,
What's
and that's
that?
Fremantle remains winless. They've got to be beating Carlton in the bottom of the table clash. Ledley, great to meet you. I know a few Spurs fans who are very excited that
you're coming back in July. Will you come back?
I will be back in
promise?
July. Yeah, so yeah. Definitely.
Tomorrow night, the Friday night blockbuster, Hawthorn and Adelaide from the MCG. The best of the pre-game, halftime, and post-match analysis here on Fox. So as we begin our conversation,
lemon chicken or the sweet and sour pork in batter? Sunday on the couch for you?
Again. Yeah, I think so.
Do you sit up or do you lay down on Sunday afternoon?
I'm a sitter.
Fair, you're 32. The body starts creaking and starts saying, this is getting harder.
Starts to.
How long's it been going?
First thing I notice is that it's not my rig on there. It's just my head planted on someone's rig.
Whose rig is it?
I have no idea. It's a bit doughy around the midriff.
I was Jared.
Whoa.
Wow.
I find myself kicking at certain objects. At
sheep.
Say
it.
You were right and I was wrong.
Don't look at me. Look down the camera.
What do they smell like? When you lose, it smells like poo.
You see the hours they put in, they work really hard.
You don't want to work that hard?
Probably not as hard as that.
If you missed from in the square, you would never forgive yourself.
Revolts don't miss from in the goal square.
Yesterday, I lay down on the couch. I thought, I'll try this.
How was it? How was it?
No, I didn't care for it much. It's our week on 360. It is a weekend of greatest respect to our Defence Forces past and present. So to all of you who indulge in the footy, the very best of luck. Great to have you with us. See you next week on 360.